Hello, everybody, and welcome to What Do You Say Anime version of Weathering With You review. Today we have me and Adam as always, but our special guest today is my girlfriend Kayla. Kayla, you want to introduce everybody?
Hi, everyone.
All right.
I'm Kayla.
All right, and Kayla, do you want to give your rundown real quick of the anime you have seen in the past, so people have an idea of your side of anime, so they can get a reference, so when we're discussing this, they know
my expertise.
Yeah, your expertise.
So I've seen Pokemon, which I think is real anime, but you do not.
That's not true. I definitely think Pokemon is an anime. I just said Digimon is better than Pokemon.
You said it's for kids.
I did not say that.
Yes, you did.
Okay,
anyway.
Go on.
What else have I seen? I've seen A Silent Voice. One episode of
Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Yep.
Haiku.
Yep.
Like an episode, and then 5 minutes of Your Name.
Yes. And
also Promare.
And Promare. So I really wish you got to finish Your Name before we saw this movie, but unfortunately she fell asleep during it. And we just got back. All three of us just got back from seeing this movie. So we're gonna jump right into it. And let's start with, how about just your first impressions, Adam?
All right, so first impressions, I'm just going to start with the visuals because that's the biggest standout for this film. If you've seen Your Name, you know just how beautiful that was. This is every bit as beautiful, if not maybe just a teensy bit better. I do have a little bit more I want to go into on that a bit later, but it's definitely a very, very aesthetically pleasing film.
Yes, I think in terms of visuals, exactly like you said, a little bit better than Your Name. There's one scene that I didn't like, but maybe like you said, that we can maybe jump into it later. Kayla, how about from your perspective? You saw Promare, which I thought was visually stunning. How does this compare in your eyes from something like Promare?
I also thought that this was just really beautiful overall. Promare, I felt, was more exciting and there was a lot more color differentiations and things like that, eye-popping stuff, but it was like I was watching a painting move.
I think that's a good way to describe it. So
yeah, I really want to point out the one thing that I thought stood out the most was the very beginning. There's a scene of just a windowsill, and it's raining outside. Rain is a very big part of the film. But it's raining outside, and just watch. I was mesmerized by just watching the beads of water run down, and how they would move, because I'm they're not just gonna. This isn't gonna be accurate, but they did the way it flowed. It was meticulously done. It was absolutely perfect. I loved that.
I think that's a good point that you brought up, because when I was watching, I think the exact same thing you were thinking of. It's one reason why I watch anime, because if you were to recreate this movie in a real life, there's no way you could get that same portrayal of rain from just a real camera. That's why I like anime, because it can add to just adding to raindrop itself. It's something so simple, but in this movie, it made it so brilliant and so beautiful to look at, where I was just mesmerized right off the bat, and I absolutely loved it. So how about we jump into the initial story of Weathering With You, where it starts out as a boy comes off of a ferry of some sort, as sort of a juvenile runaway looking to find a job in Tokyo, and runs into a girl down the road who eventually can control, we're not going to say the sun, but the weather, because she's considered, what is it called? The
Sunshine Girl.
The Sunshine Girl. So she has the ability to make the clouds separate and not disintegrate, that's a bad word, but essentially stop the rain.
Also, there's a really important part where this guy saves his life.
Yes.
In the beginning.
There.
He's really important.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's definitely a major point of the movie, where you meet the main characters
mentor, I guess.
mentor, boss,
Yeah.
second
Creepy
dad.
guy that lives in a basement.
Yeah. So we get him involved into the show, the movie, and it kind of starts spiraling out of control from there. And we see this paranormal, supernatural type of movie of these three main characters using this girl's power to open up the clouds because it's raining in Tokyo. I think it was like 72 days straight by the time that they get like a first real day of sunshine. So, how do you feel about the story?
I thought the pacing. I'm gonna be doing this a lot. I'm just gonna be comparing it to Your Name because it's so similar in many ways. But I felt like the pacing was a lot more of a slow burn, and it ramped up a lot more than the way Your Name did. Your Name kind of comes out of the gates with like a bang and is like really entertaining and like pops right when it starts out. But this one slowly like builds, and you like, I guess is the best way to put it. It's like a slow ramp up.
Yeah,
in terms of like energy.
I agree. How about you, Kayla? What would you think about that?
Yeah, I was bored for the first like half of it.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see how you could say that.
Yep.
There's one thing that I would kind of why I was also a little bored in the beginning, where in Your Name, where they like kind of discover that they're switching bodies.
Whoa, spoiler.
I know you haven't. Everyone in the world has seen it except for you, Kayla. So there's like a scene in the movie where like they kind of realize like what's happening. Like it finally like clicks for them. Like this isn't a dream. Like we're actually switching bodies, and it comes to like a like I'll say like a first part climax of the movie when they come to this realization. And the Radwimps, who's like the musical artist, their music starts playing, and
it's a banger.
It adds to the dynamic of this movie. The Radwimps did the music for this, and not until like almost the end of the movie where I felt like, yeah, like this music is finally hitting me. Yep. And I was kind of disappointed in that because me and Kayla were listening to, I was showing her a song from Your Name before we showed up. I was like, this song is so important to the movie of Your Name. And then I felt we had one song for this movie, and that was at the end when they were like falling through the sky. And that was like a big, I was really looking forward to, it's not saying that the music was bad, but like it wasn't the same as Your Name, and it kind of took away from the movie for me at least.
And that's kind of what I meant by was a slow ramp up, because that you very much get like a burst of energy in Your Name when you first hear that Radwimp's chords start playing, and you're getting like that montage of them body switching like Freaky Friday style, and it gives you so much energy, and you're like, yes, I'm loving it, and you're into the movie. You don't get that in this, and that's why it feels like a much slower climb, like you're riding a roller coaster to the top. It's like it's anticipating, but it takes a while.
I think it's funny that you guys think that, because I felt that the silence in this movie really added to the story. Like there were multiple times when she, when she was, interacting with the weather and the rain, that it was like silent, and the silence really hit, and I felt like that like worked really well with the movie. I do think it was a slow story, but I felt that like the lack of really intense music helped me understand the tone of the story.
I guess for me, it's not the intense music. It's just, you can have like really good songs that are like slow and like add to the story and not be like this like absolute banger. I just felt like when I was hearing the music in the movie in the beginning, at least, I was like, I'm not connecting. It's sort of like I'm not connecting with what they're playing with me, because since you haven't seen Your Name, I guess you can't really relate to what me and Adam are saying. Where the music in Your Name, when I hear that song, I can picture the entire scene in my head. Like that's how important the music was in Your Name. Where like if I can only in my head, I can only picture one song from the movie, and that's towards the end when they're falling through the sky. That's the only song that I like remember.
I do agree though that those moments of absolute silence when we get nothing are I'm trying to think of the right word to use, but like they definitely strike a chord too, because they're not something you're used to getting in film is absolute silence where you don't hear anything. And those moments are great.
I agree.
Just don't
Yeah,
know
they're
if
very
they're jarring, but in like a good way.
Yeah,
Like,
'cause we had it in the theater where like there was like a scene where it's like 2-3 seconds of pure silence and the entire theater was silent, and it was a sold out theater, so that was like really, I was like, oh, everyone else is like feeling the same way I feel right now. I'm like, that was sweet, but like I wish I could connect to the music the way I did with Your Name is pretty much what I'm trying to say.
yeah, I would agree with you on that. I do think those moments of silence though are absolutely intentional and done very, very, very well.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Is there something you want to jump into, Kayla, that's maybe bugging you? I know you had a couple things that were on your mind from the movie that we could discuss.
No, I just, it was just on the music thing. Like, you guys kept comparing it to Your Name. Like, well, if you've seen this, but, like, this is an independent movie. You know, so, like...
In a way.
Well, I know it's the
Great,
same.
great transition.
I
That's a great-
know. I know.
That's a wonderful transition.
Because-
You're welcome, guys.
Because this is, I mean, if you're listening right now and you aren't aware, we're probably going to be jumping into some spoilers. So, I don't know, Ab, do you want to take it from the first spoiler that we got from...
The first thing is one of the most like you could hear it in the audience when everyone caught on to what happened.
Yeah.
This definitely takes place in the Your Name universe, and you can actually pinpoint where in the Your Name timeline this all happens, because you get Taki and his grandmother actually pop up, who I don't believe you ever see in Your Name at all, but you get to meet his grandmother, and he appears in the film. They never say his name, but it is 150% Taki that shows up for a
Taki,
very long time.
for sure. And I was trying to like picture like when does this take place in the Your Name timeline?
This takes place, or I mean, did you figure it out, or do you want me to
say? Because what's the girl's name from Your Name?
Mitsuha.
Because she's in it too.
Yes.
So I'm trying to think of when she comes to Tokyo, and Your Name is when she's like an adult.
Yep.
So this is prior to when Taki and Mitsuha meet.
Yes.
So it's, I guess I don't have like a definite timeline, but like
I don't know if it's necessarily prior, because they could have met. We don't know, because they never really talk about each other, and you don't see them both in the same place at the same time. And if you haven't figured out, Mitsuha is also in this movie.
I guess
both make an appearance.
Here's a conspiracy theory, because in Your Name, when they meet, like when they pass by on the train and when they like go up the stairs, it's sunny out, so it has to be the day where it's the first day when the girl gets or when she goes to the sky. It has to be that day.
Or the day her mom dies.
No,
I mean, it
can't be the day her mom dies, because they don't meet them until after all the main characters are together. That's just. I guess this is just my conspiracy theory. Is they meet?
Well, we know the rains. I'm gonna try to piece this together as we're talking here. We know from at least the start of the film being Weathering with You, it is basically constantly raining.
Yes.
There is only one day where we actually get sunlight. So they have either already met at the beginning of, like, because they could be 2 years older past the end of Your Name.
Yep.
So this either takes place after the events of Your Name, and they are already have passed each other on that staircase, or the day they pass each other is
the day.
It would have to be the day that she disappears.
Yeah, that's what that's my guess. I'm gonna go to the day when
I'm gonna guess
disappears.
It's probably this movie takes place after Your Name. I'm just going to guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Strictly on the fact that the first day when Taki is grown up within Your Name, I believe it's another sunny day, and he doesn't meet her until later. So we're having multiple sunny days in a row.
Yeah,
which
you're
means
right.
I think the events have to take place before the storm gathers for the first time at the beginning of Weathering with You. So my theory is that Weathering with You takes place at least 2 years, well, at least after the events of Your Name, I guess.
Okay. I just want to stir up a controversy, but I think based off your logic, that makes way more sense. Okay, so we've talked about the visuals, we've talked about the music. How about the characters themselves? Did you have any issues with the characters in the show? Or the movie, sorry. I don't know why I keep saying show. Adam, you want to go first?
I don't know if we got a lot about Hodaka, the main character. Like, we know he ran away from home for a reason.
Yep, that's really not described.
But we're not really, it's never really explained why. And we know Hina and her brother, who I'm spacing on his name right now. We'll call him Senpai. Why Hina and
Nagi, I think.
Nagi,
that's it. Yep. Why Hina and we know that their mother died, and so they're basically orphaned. And so she's taking care of her younger brother. And I feel like she gets the most character development out of, again, I'm going to relate this back to Your Name because even the plot is very similar.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like her character is, of the 4 main characters between these 2 shows, is the most well-defined and the most like fully like well-rounded character. Hodaka kind of falls in the Mitsuha and Taki line, where it's like we kind of get an idea about them, but it's more their relationship with the world that's more important than who they are specifically as individuals.
Yeah, personally, I love the little brother Nagi. I thought he was what a fantastic character.
He's great.
We just like, this is some like Easter egg stuff that we found while we were waiting. The voice actors for his 2 girlfriends, named Kana and Ayane or something like that, Ayane, are the voice actors' names, like the real life voice actors' names. Kana Hanazawa and Ayane Sakura. So they just named them after the voice actors. So I thought that was kind of like a cool Easter egg.
They switched their last names.
They switched their last names.
Yeah. Like
the character.
Cool.
So the one of the girlfriends is Kana Sakura, and the other girlfriend's name is Ayane Hanazawa. So just like a cool little Easter egg that we found while we were just chilling and waiting. I liked Hina a lot as a character. I like her character development throughout the show. Or why do I keep saying show? Throughout the movie.
Show's fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they get the point.
I think it's bothering you more than anybody else.
I know. It's just one of those personal things. And then Hodaka, I wish we understood why he left home. It sounds like he had like issues with his parents and the island. So he's from an island, but it's not really described why. I guess the only real scene that we get from him on the island is when he's racing the light and he can't catch up to it. So I don't know if it's like a similar situation where he just needs to get off the island because it's like, it could be like a metaphor of like it's always raining there type of thing and he's chasing after something and he can't reach it there. I don't know if that's like a metaphor, but overall I really enjoyed the characters, especially like even like the side characters, Shuga and Natsumi from the agency that he works at. I thought those were fantastic characters as well. How about you, Kayla? What did you think?
Yeah, my favorite characters were Natsumi and Nagi, the younger brother.
Yeah.
I didn't really find myself connected or caring that much about the main characters. I did like Hina, but
yeah,
I don't know. It felt like a Disney princess movie with the main guy just running away. He's like 16 years old and he's like, I want to get out of this small town. I'm going to this big town. And it's like, bro, like chill out. You're a child.
Yeah.
100% agree with that comparison. That's a perfect way to state that.
Yeah. I think I definitely connected to Hina, and then I didn't get like attached to Hodaka, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah, so, he was just kind of a Disney princess would be the best way to put it.
A Disney princess plot device.
Yeah.
That's literally what he was.
Yes. I guess so. How about the story itself? that we got these supernatural elements involved, along with like real life issues that people are dealing with, such as the Suga's like can't seeing his daughter unless it's raining type of thing. So we got to see the interactions between, you thought like there's this drunk agency guy, but he's actually like kind of like a caring father who's dealing with some like other issues, to the parts where we see the actual main characters going through a struggle of trying to please people while sacrificing themselves type of thing, that type of metaphor, but actually in this movie literally sacrificing yourself to trying to like please people. So how about Kayla, you go first. What did you not like about the story?
I agreed with the idea of Hina, like bringing the sunshine, literally like making herself disappear to grant other people's wishes. Like, I thought that was a really clear metaphor and a really, I liked it. I did not think that, so Hodoka runs into like some bad guys and he acquires a gun and shoots a gun into the sky, and then like I don't know, I felt like that was really out of place. I didn't see the point of the gun, and I had a hard time following, like, I don't know. I thought the story itself was really interesting. The idea of a world like in the sky, I thought that was really cool. Like really cool water fish that I really liked. And the idea of, like trying to give everything you have to make other people happy, and then in reality at the end you find out that like really nothing you did changed. Like Tokyo sinking, but it sunk 200 years prior. Like they didn't have anything to do with it. So it's like, don't sacrifice yourself for that. I think they tried to do a little bit too much.
Sure. How about you, Adam? Things you liked and didn't like about the story?
I agree with the gun part a bit. Like, I feel like it was used more as a plot device and never really explained, because like it starts out with like this mafia or like yakuza like trying to almost like kidnap Hina and try to get her into like, I'm assuming what was going to do like sex work or like adult waitressing at like a bar. And the gun just kind of happens to be laying there. So like they were obviously trying to make a connection to like underground like corruption, but it doesn't have any relevance to the plot except to move the plot forward as a plot device, which is a bit frustrating. It would have been nice to at least get a bit more like flesh that out a bit more, like what's actually going on there. But maybe if you live in Japan, this is something like that you might be a bit more like hit home a little more than it does for us in the West.
I don't know. I think it was pretty clear that what they were doing. Like, I don't think they needed the gun for it to be a shady underground situation.
I think they were just like, well, we need to have him like help her escape. Like, what if we just gave him a gun to do it? Like, the gun was just a plot device to get them out of the situation. A Deus Ex Machina, if you will. Yeah,
I do know that like firearms in general in Japan is like a huge deal, which is kind of why I didn't have a problem as much as like, because even as the gun is a Deus Ex Machina, in kind of retrospect in terms of the detective, they also get like a Deus Ex Machina of like them almost immediately finding like Hodoka and like knowing who he's associated with like immediately. But I think it's okay because of how big of like a deal firearms are in Japan. It's literally like 0.03% of all Japanese residents own a gun, which is insane. Where compared to America, out of every 100 people, there's 101 guns. So just in retrospect, we have, what's that, like 1,000 times more guns than Japan or something. So you kind of get like why the cops were like on their ass trying to find this dude, because illegal guns is like, I shouldn't say it's non-existent because I don't know, but like the existence of guns itself in Japan is very, very small compared to most countries. So I didn't have an issue with the gun being the plot that much because of how it worked in both ways. If that makes any sense.
It makes sense to an extent. I just kind of wish they would have dove into the whole, like, who those guys. I mean, I guess we know what their goal was, but like, if they would have fleshed out the criminal organization bit a bit more, because once he fires the gun in the air and they get away from those guys, those guys are essentially never seen again. Like, they're not searching for their weapon or anything like that. I don't know.
Well, they run into him when they're like chasing him by like the train station. You remember that scene?
Well, the cops are chasing
I remember
them.
The cops are
coming
chasing
up
like
to
the
them.
Yakuza guy, yeah.
But it's only because they're like, you're in this picture. Like, do you
oh,
know this
sure.
kid?
I see. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I agree with Adam on that. Like, I feel like if that were a real thing, they would be trying to find this girl who got away and this stupid kid that shot a gun in the air.
Because if they have CCTV of them shooting the gun, they probably have the CCTV of him trying to lure this, like, because they know she's 15.
Yeah.
So they have the CCTV. But it's just like one of those plot things where it's like, could they investigate it? Yes, but like that's not really part of the story.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like,
I guess
like,
that's me just wanting
for
to
sure.
see it fleshed out a bit more than it was.
But
at
then
least a little bit more.
When we run into stuff like that, that turns an hour and 45-minute
Yeah.
movie into a 2-hour, 15-minute movie into a 3-hour movie, etc., etc. So,
and I might have one other small little nitpick.
lay it out.
They figure out who. Oh, I'm spacing on his name. Hodaka?
Hodaka.
They figure out who Hodaka is, even though he is an orphan, or not an orphan,
That's
but like
true.
a runaway in a completely different district of Japan entirely. Like, he's from an island, and he's in the middle of Tokyo, which is one of the most populated areas. Yet from that one shot, they know exactly who that kid is. And I'm like, that's a bit of a stretch. If some person from like Hawaii came over and was caught on one camera committing a crime over here, there wouldn't be like, over here in the state of Minnesota, we wouldn't be like, oh, we know who that guy is. It's so-and-so from Hawaii. Like, we'd be putting flyers out. Does anyone know who this person is that committed this crime? If you have any information, call your local police department.
Yeah, because
they just immediately knew who he was.
In canon, they showed like the characters, none of them snitch.
Yeah.
So like nobody like releases the name of Hodaka to the police. All they have is the visuals, and like what Adam, you just said, like, oh, we have a picture of him. It's this guy type of
and
thing.
also they happen to know that he's staying with Mr. Shug or whatever his
Yeah.
name. Like, they happen to know that they're associated. Like, how do you know these things?
Yeah, so
Like, that was the one thing that, for me, that was the biggest glare of, okay, I have to extend my, like, disbelief a little bit.
I also think
For that.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I think we are just like nitpicking.
Oh,
on
I absolutely.
What's because the main purpose of the movie is not this like part, but like it's just when you're watching it, you just like you do like the scratch your head type of thing where it's like, I know like this isn't that big of a deal, but like, how did you come to this conclusion? Can you give me like a 30-second explanation type of thing? And we never really get it, but I also realize it's not the part of the movie that we need to be focusing on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was a nitpick for sure, but it was something I thought about.
Yep.
And I mean, in those instances, like, yeah, it's not a main part of the movie, but if it takes you out of the story, like, I was like, what? How is this possible? Then I'm out of the story. Like,
Sure.
You know, I'm like, this doesn't make, and I know that it was like supernatural and I had to, you know, suspend my disbelief, but I did in the supernatural sense, but in a sense of like, where this was supposed to make sense and it didn't, I'm just like, I have a hard time like trusting this story because
it's in a similar way to for me, it doesn't bother me at all, but for you, I know there's parts in the 3rd season of Sword Art Online that you're just like, how did these terrorists get onto this boat that's supposed to be like a government funded thing? Like, would there not be enough security to prevent terrorists from just waltzing aboard?
Great example.
Getting in with like a wig and some glass, or a wig on, and that's enough to get her past security on this government base. Like, if you suspend disbelief, it's not a big deal. But if you think about it and it pulls you out of the show, pulls you out of the show.
Yeah, you can always suspend your disbelief. Everybody has like their own levels of suspending their disbelief. So to me, not that big of a deal. I know it didn't take away from what the movie was trying to get for like what I was viewing the movie as. Where Kayla, obviously not like the biggest anime fan, so maybe you're holding on to like the realistic expectations of anime, and when you see something like this, you're like, huh?
Okay, no, you make me sound stupid when
I'm not trying to make you sound stupid.
No, I had no expectations going into this movie. First of all, I didn't look anything up, and I like animated movies, and I was ready to suspend my disbelief with like the supernatural part of it. Like she prays and she can make the rain go away, and there's like animals that are made from like water. Like I'm totally into that. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then as soon as like there's something that's just like, I don't know, like that's the part that's, you know, I'm suspending my disbelief for. I can't just be like, oh, you know, this person is in this town of billions of people and we know who he is and we're just gonna, you know, like, I don't know. I was already like so like into the story of what was actually what they wanted us to like be paying attention to, and then the fact that like a stupid side like plot device took me out of it was frustrating.
Sure. Okay, so now we've gone through the story, the visuals, the music, the characters. Is there anything else that you really want to touch on before we go to like our final wrap-ups? Adam, do you have anything you want to say?
I'm gonna go pull something from the visuals one more time. The one thing that I think sets this that little bit above Your Name is they're both aesthetically beautiful from like within the world that they're in. Like they paint they use a similar style in depicting the real world, whether it's the asteroids shooting across the sky and splitting and like you see the stars and the glistening. It's like that stuff is a very good parallel to like the rain coming down. Like they're comparable.
Yep.
But the one thing this movie does is when they go to that other realm, or when Hina like teleports up into the sky, they switch art styles to like a little pastel aesthetic they add to it,
Yeah.
which gives it a little like a floaty, like chalky feel, which gives you this vibe of like you're still in this realm, but like one dimension over almost.
Yeah,
and I think that does so much for the visuals that's why I say like I think it's better than Your Name.
You know, I honestly
they have a different art style there.
I didn't think about that until you said that, and I definitely 100% agree with that statement. But devil's advocate again, the scene where she's on the rooftop of the skyscraper for like the fireworks scene, and then they do the fireworks scene at night and they CG it. Yeah. Why did they do that? I don't know. That's the
You're
only.
right.
It's like the only scene in the movie that's CG'd. I'm like, because they do the bike chasing scene with the moped. That wasn't CG, and that was amazing.
That was great, and I got a Fooly Cooly vibe from.
Yes.
I don't remember her name, but like the moment she pulls
Natsumi?
her goggles down.
No, from Fooly Cooly. It's from a different. Kayla, I thought
No,
you were
I
talking
mean
about
the girl in Weathering with You. I forget her name.
So yeah, not
The niece.
Natsumi.
Natsumi.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're talking about the Fooly Cooly chick with the moped.
Yeah, I don't remember her name. It's been years since I
Yeah.
saw Fooly Cooly. But when he hops on the back of Natsumi's bike and they're riding, and she pulls her goggles down, like immediately, like I'm like, I look around, I'm like, did anyone else get like Fooly Cooly vibes right now?
Yes.
And I don't know if anyone else did, but like I loved that.
Such a good scene.
But
honestly, I think that
she is absolutely right.
I think visually that was my favorite scene.
My favorite scene was definitely, I think, the second time we end up in the clouds and she's falling and like they're like I'm trying to remember exactly how it goes, but it's the first time I really noticed the pastel effect in the clouds. Like the first time I noticed that, whenever it was, whether it was the second or third time, it was like that was my favorite part. It was that's when I could see the transition that they were trying to do to make it feel like otherworldly, but still in this like dimension.
Yes. I think a callback to the music portion, I think that scene was like The moped scene was my favorite scene in terms of like the animation, and then my favorite scene in general was the part where they're falling because of like the pastel style art. The music, that song that they played was so awesome. It was so epic, and that really encapsulated that whole scene of them coming together, like being together, like understanding like what the situation is, and they find that that's what, like another scene where like it clicks. It's like, no, like I don't want to like be away from you. I would rather it rain for eternity and you be with me than it be a thousand days of sunlight type of thing. So I personally love that scene.
Did you cry during that scene?
I did not cry during that scene.
Were you thinking about me?
I was totally thinking about you. Absolutely.
I just found. I'm sorry about that. Continue.
What are you saying, Kayla?
I just said I'd rather it be sunny.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Okay. Wow. Really? Okay.
Oh, I did find out one of the questions we were talking about earlier. The events of the end of Your Name, which I guess this might actually be a plot hole. I don't know. The events, the ending of Your Name takes the place in the year 2022, and the events of Weathering with You are in August of 2021. So.
Interesting. Okay. I would have to, maybe somebody will have like a Reddit post a couple days on the road explaining like the timeline, because I feel like a lot of people are going to have some like they'll dispute it with some evidence, and somebody will dispute that with some evidence type of thing. So we're probably going to need I don't know.
If you go back and watch, like I know Your Name, they have the years of the events going on.
Yeah.
So like the meteor happens in 2013. Taki is in the year 2016, and it's 6 years post the ending to it that he's like an adult trying to get a job in Tokyo. So that would be 2022. And the event specifically stated was August 14th that he visited his grandmother's house where he ran into Hina and Hodaka. So
interesting. Okay.
There's an exact date. As for why it is sunny out when he runs into Mitsuha again.
Yeah. I don't know either. I don't know either. Okay. So how about, it's late. I think we covered most of it. How about we do like a final wrap up?
I just want to say one more
Sure,
thing.
go for it.
Yeah.
I did not like how the one bad guy punched a 16-year-old kid. That like there were multiple instances of like adults hitting this kid, and I don't know if that's something that bothered other people. Like,
they just like beat up Hodaka.
Yeah.
In the show.
Yeah, they just beat the shit out of this kid, and they're all adults. Like, I was just like, what? This isn't.
I guess
I'm gonna go with a difference in culture.
I was also thinking like cultural, where like it's fine for like the elders or the senpais to like scold the kohais or the youngins if they're out of line type of thing. It's probably one of those things where it's like punching him in the face. Yeah, that's probably frowned upon, but I'm pretty sure like disciplining with stuff like that is not that big of a deal. Because they're very like polite professional culture where like if you're out of line, it's seen, you're like immediately like the black sheep of like the culture, not like of a family.
And I know striking someone isn't as big a deal, because I at least as far as I'm aware, I'm sure someone in the comment section is probably more aware than we are, but like I've watched a lot of series, and having teachers striking students is common.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess I've become numb to it, where
I think for me and you, Adam, when we saw that, it's probably not that big of a deal.
Well, there was a point where he was on top of Hodaka and literally just like punched his face into the pavement.
Yeah.
That's
I would definitely
no,
say
that's not
assault.
common. No, that's assault. That's assault.
Okay,
but that dude's also like, it's kind of hinted that he's like Yakuza.
Well,
so,
yeah,
like,
but he's caught on camera and he doesn't get in trouble for that.
Okay, this is going to be a completely different situation, but like essentially the cops don't do shit to the Yakuza in Japan. It's kind of like a if we don't see it, it didn't happen type of thing, because their crime rates are so low and everything, and they want to like keep that reputation where the Yakuza essentially is getting diminished in Japan. Like their numbers are like down millions in the last like 20 years. Because it used to be like 2 million Yakuza or something ridiculous, and now it's like less than a couple. It's like 100,000 or something. So like, whatever they literally think like whatever they're doing now is working. So that's just my guess. Like this dude's obviously some form of like Yakuza slash I don't know neighborhood like wannabe gangster type of thing, and it's just like if the cops didn't see it, it didn't happen. That's just my guess.
Yeah.
But yes, punching somebody into the cement is a little exaggerated from what I'm used to seeing in anime.
I'm used to seeing a teacher punch a student in the back of the head or something like that. Not full on ground pound like a 16-year-old.
Well, like I guess in America, like I know my dad went to Catholic high school and he got pushed downstairs by nuns. So like, there's still violence. Like I don't know, it varies.
I mean, I know, but it just like, and I understand that there's cultural differences, and I don't watch a lot of anime, so obviously it's not really like what I see. But I just was like, that's something that I just don't like.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yep. Okay, so...
Also, I really liked the cat.
The cat was great. Props to the cat.
Yeah, the cat was easily the best.
I forgot what the
Rain.
Yeah, but its Japanese name was something else, wasn't it? I forgot how you say Rain in Japanese, but Rain the cat. Props to Rain the cat. Yeah. Chonky boy towards the end. Big old chonky boy. Okay, so let's wrap up. We do a score from like 1 to 10. Kayla, I know you gave Promare a 6, which I was very upset about. I'll go, Kayla goes, and then Adam goes. So personally for me, I liked the story. I liked all the characters. Like I loved like 2, liked most of them. Thought it had like a really good message and everything. The visuals were stunning. A little disappointed by like the music in terms of like how it compared to Your Name. Just really minor things, but overall, I think this was an amazing movie. I think everybody should watch it. Definitely watch Your Name first before seeing it. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Kayla?
Me. So you said I gave Promare a 6?
You gave Promare a 6.
I liked Promare better. So.
Oh, wow.
That's
fair.
That's fine.
He just put his hand over his heart like, oh my god.
You can be critical. You can think whatever you want. That's fine.
Well, yeah. I could think whatever I want. No, I honestly, like, I think it was a good story, really interesting. The visuals were amazing. It just was so boring to me for a lot of it. And it was really hard for me to, like, stay in the story, I guess.
Sure.
So I'll give it a 5.
A 5. All right, Adam, your thoughts?
This is hard because for me, I feel like overall, as looking at the entire picture, Your Name. I have Your Name at a 10.
Yep.
But I'm feeling like I enjoyed at least the story of this more, but I don't know if it's as well done as an entire ensemble as Your Name.
I guess comparing it to Your Name, that's how I was viewing it as.
Yeah.
Like, how do I compare this to Your Name? But I also gave Your Name a 9, so I think this is comparable.
I gave Your Name a 10. I loved that movie. I saw it 3 times in theaters. I don't know if I would watch this again in theaters, but that doesn't mean I didn't like it just as much as Your Name.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna give it a 9.
Yep, I think.
I don't think it. I just want to try to voice my thoughts right now.
Sure.
As a entire piece as a whole, that being art, characters, story, I don't think it adds up as well to Your Name. But I think there is places in most of the situations the art is better, besides the CG point.
Mm-hmm.
The characters are better. I don't know if the pacing is better. It's different.
It is different because Your Name is longer than... I think Your Name is about 20 minutes longer than Weathering With You, so the pacing is a little different too.
But just in the way the ups and downs of like the action go. Your Name has kind of 2 arcs to it.
Yep.
And this one has one gradual arc that builds up. And so they're different. I can't say one way of doing it is strictly better than the other.
No, absolutely.
But
And if somebody, like, I think this will be a really good discussion down the road of people are going to compare, do you like Weathering with You better than Your Name, or do you like Your Name better? And this is good. I think it's like, how do you compare the two? And it's just based off like your personal thoughts and like how you view like anime itself in general. And just, to me, something clicked more with Your Name than this. But
Yeah,
that doesn't take away how good
pacing.
this show is.
And for me, that's the fact that it had 2 arcs to it. That I felt like there was 2 full stories that you get told throughout Your Name, and that's what makes it so enjoyable to go back and watch.
Yes.
Is because right there in the middle, you have that big twist that recontextualizes the story, and then you get another story that explains everything. And this one, you don't have that, but I liked it just as much, but for different reasons. But I think for me, Your Name would just be a movie I could go back to and watch again, and get more entertainment out of. Even though I feel like they're both done just as well. I don't know, it's hard. But so for me, Your Name's a 10. This would have to be a 9, maybe even closer to an 8 at times.
Yeah, I think like what you said, the pacing in the beginning is just a little slow. But to me, that didn't take away from the movie as much as most pacing does in other shows and other movies. So
the callbacks bring me, like, I felt such joy when I saw some of the callbacks.
Yep.
And stuff that stuff like totally helped me like jump back on it once, like, because that was about the time the pacing was like starting to get to the point where I'm like, really, is we gonna start getting into it soon? But then you get those really nice callbacks where I'm like, okay, I'm loving this now, and a big smile came across my face.
Yeah, there's definitely some scenes where it's like, yep, here we go, but like it just took a little while to like ramp up, and then, but like for me, I was so like mesmerized by the visuals, or like I didn't even care. I was having such a good time. I was like looking in the background art and like looking at the water droplets from like whatever. So like.
Plus the story is Your Name. It's the same story for the most part. Like, the beats are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
The only difference is this has a bit more conclusive ending.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Instead of and everything was saved, this kind of has a more bleak ending for the overall world, but like for the main characters, a much more happier ending, I guess.
Yeah. The characters win, but Tokyo took an L. Yeah, for sure.
They're like, you know what? Love's more important than Tokyo. Tokyo, you hold the L. While in Your Name, it was the world's might be more important than our love. Our love is gonna have to go out of the back burner. But
yeah,
I don't know.
For sure.
Which was Makoto Shinkai's like style for so long, like with Garden of Words and 5 centimeters per second.
Yeah, for sure.
He does that whole like, I'm not gonna give you that happy ending you want. The Place Promised in our early days, like they all have those like
open-ended,
downer
but
endings,
like
downer but open-ended endings, and this one actually gives you a hey. Yeah, at least you can smile for the main characters.
For sure, yeah. The main characters definitely win this time, so.
Like, I don't know if you've seen 5 centimeters per second, but oh my lord, that's such a downer.
Yeah, it's not the best, but visually it's nice to look at.
It's a great movie. The ending is so sad.
Yeah, it is. Okay, well, how about we wrap up this? Thank you for listening to the Weathering with You review. Kayla, thank you for joining in on another episode. You'll have to come to, I don't know what movie comes out next that you'd want to see, but maybe like 6 months down the road we'll see something. Adam, as always, thanks for stopping by. Next episode is going to be the Anime of the Year Awards, and voting ends, depending on when you're listening to this, tomorrow, the 18th of January. So thank you to everybody who has voted. We got a lot of responses, so that's going to be really fun. So once again, thank you, and have a good one.
Thanks for having me.